Hi, Ben. How are you?
Good. Good to be back in Toronto.
It's nice to have you here. I want to begin with where you were after your first record. You were touring with Jack White. You were playing in late night talk shows.
Hmm.
A lot of success, really, really quickly. And then what happened? You went back to New Orleans. Where were you living at the time?
Yeah, I was living in New Orleans. I took a while off, probably a good year or so before I started working on stuff again. And then eventually I took a plane to Mexico. I got out of New Orleans for a little bit and went down and wrote the album in the month I spent there.
Why? Why did you go to Mexico? Why did you, not Mexico, but why did you need to get away?
I was just having a hard time in New Orleans at the time. It was just a different place, I guess, than when I left for touring, you know? The city was changing a bunch. A
Yeah.
lot of people moving in. A lot of the friends I had when I moved there were out. I was also having problems with just, crime in the city and a bunch of other things. I got like shot at not long before I went down there. And yeah, that'll make you want to leave a town.
You were feeling a bit ill too, right? You weren't too happy.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling great. I don't know. It's that all the cliches, I guess, of just like doing your thing and then just coming back and being like, oh, now I'm home. So,
And you read a book on the flight to Mexico.
yeah, I read a book by this guy, Don DeLillo. It's called White Noise. And that's kind of how the album got started. There was a quote that I was reading on the plane that said, what we are reluctant to touch often seems the fabric of our salvation. So that kind of just got me started. I think that I realized at the time that the block that I was having was from just not talking about the things I needed to talk about. And so I just decided to dig a little deeper, and I wrote out a list of those things that I was reluctant to touch. And that kind of became the bullet point, the outline for the record. So
I know. Yeah, I know when you go to therapy. Like I go to therapy. I don't know if you ever have.
I haven't. Everyone is trying to get. I'm planning on doing it when I get back to town. I need it.
One thing that happens is sometimes when I'm in there, she'll say to me, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" And I'll go,
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
she'll go, "Ooh, whatever it is, by how reluctant you want to tell me, then we should probably talk about it."
It's true.
It's the things that we don't want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And for you, what was that?
Whoa. I don't. I think that I mean, I guess it was a lot of stuff growing up. Just I was listening to this podcast about school segregation in the U.S. and how like a lot of the schools in America are segregated, and they have a lot of programs in place to do it. And so like a big change, I guess, when I was a kid was moving schools. I got bused into the middle of town to a different school. So I would ride the bus an hour and a half to school and back every day. And so it was just kind of this. I went from like a pretty poor neighborhood on the outskirts of Tampa in Florida to just getting bused into this like crazy school with like inner city kids and just like very wealthy kids. And it kind of just like really, I don't know, changed my perception of myself and kind of just like affected me, I guess, until recently. Just I guess those feelings of just like not, fitting in at all. So I don't know. That kind of stuff changed a little bit when I got to college. But yeah, I don't know. I think that that's a big thing. Yeah, and also just family stuff. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm not gonna make you go through all of it like on the couch here today. I will say this though, these songs are about working through things
Right.
that you found hard to talk about.
Mm.
So what's it like to sing them now? What's it like to listen back to them now?
Well, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's difficult. I mean, there's a few songs at the beginning that we were singing that it was hard for me to like not like, burst into tears when we were doing them. But
Why?
just because the words, I mean, like when I was writing the lyrics to the song, I mean, I tried to be really focused on just being economical and just truthful and just like trying not to cover things up like I did with the last album. More cryptic lyrics and those kinds of things.
Was that intentionally? Like, hey, I want to talk about some stuff, but I can't, so I'm gonna kind of shroud it in cryptic lyrics.
Yeah, probably. I was younger. Yeah, that was probably the case. So I was listening to this Maya Angelou interview where she was talking about how when she's writing, she writes everything like it's the last thing that she wanted to say, or like it was her last words or something like that. And so I was kind of just really thinking about that, just like what is the simplest way that you can put this and express this feeling that you're trying to feel, which probably also comes from I went to school for journalism, and so that's kind of something that they beat into your head is to just to try to say as much as you can with as little words as possible.
What's the hardest song for you to sing?
Carrie, there's a song called Carrie on the album that I have a really hard time with.
What's so hard about it?
Well, the beginning of the song, the first words are, "I don't need to carry all the things I've done wrong. Aren't there things I've done right?" Which is, I mean, I guess that's like a big thing, I guess, for me. It's just trying to realize that there are things that people are complicated, I guess. There's going to be good things about you and bad things. And I guess, I don't know, I can be pretty pessimistic sometimes, but I think that I need to also accept the good things in life, you know?
You talked a little bit about how this trip to Mexico was kind of an indication of your tendency to run away from things sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way? Do you still feel the temptation to run away?
Oh, constantly, every day, all the time.
Like right now, you know, if you're listening to this in the radio, he's putting on his shoes as we're talking. He's opening the door.
Oh my God, all the time. We were playing a show the other night, and I couldn't go to sleep, and I just kept thinking about like, getting a ticket and just disappearing. So,
Really?
Yeah, I really, it's a constant thing. I don't know. I don't know how to stop it, but I mean, I'm gonna hit this therapy thing up, like he said.
But what does stop you? What does stop you from heading out the door before the show?
The people around me, the band. I'm playing with a bunch of people that I really care about, and my girlfriend and my family and all those kinds of things. I think that, I mean, I isolate people. They don't really isolate me, and I think that over the time since the last album, that's what I've just been working on. It's just
you isolate people?
Yeah, definitely.
What does that mean?
I mean, I just don't let them in. I mean, like, there's a lot of people who are friends I've had for 17 years who don't really know anything about me. So
yeah, and you want to let them in?
Yeah, I want to. I'm working on it now. Yeah,
it's not easy.
No, it's not easy, but it feels good. It does feel good. I don't know, the little steps that I've been taking, it's felt good.
Scary. So. I find it scary.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't live your life. I mean, we are alone, I guess, at the end of the day. We're all just living in our heads, but it's a little easier when there's other people around.
For sure.
Yeah.
This new record, Witness, you talk about how James Baldwin influenced it.
Yeah.
James Baldwin, great writer, activist in the civil rights movement. I just watched the documentary about him. We had the director of the documentary about him.
Oh, Raoul.
Yeah, Raoul Peck, not that long ago. What does the word witness mean to you?
Well, when I was making this album, we had Mavis Staples sing on this record.
Gospel music, soul music, R&B music, rock music icon. Like from the Staples singers, I was letting people know one of the greatest voices in modern music history.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I was listening to a bunch of her records. She has an album called Freedom Highway that she did with the Staples singers, and just I think that it really made me think about, I guess, with all the things that were happening in New Orleans and like the near-death experiences and things like that, just about the kind of artist, I guess, that I wanted to be, and if it was okay for me to just entertain people, and if I thought I would be happy at the end of my life, just like being like a song and dance kind of man. And I thought about people like her and the work that they did, and thought that I needed to do more, I guess, and reflect, I guess, more of the things that were happening around me than I was with the first record.
We thought about Trayvon Martin too.
Yeah, I when that happened, I was going to school.
I should point out, if you listen to this, Trayvon Martin, if you don't remember, a young black man from Florida fatally shot by a man who thought he was carrying a gun, and Trayvon Martin was unarmed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but that was about an hour and a half south of where I was going to school at the time. And I don't know. I mean, if you grow up black in America, you always think about those things. But I mean, I guess for a long time, I guess you just tell yourself that you're not in that group, I guess. And I mean, seeing him, I guess, for the first time was the first time you saw somebody and you're like, oh man, that's a kid. Like, this kid doesn't even look like he's like in gangs or like a dangerous person. Like, it literally is just a kid. And so I think that it really scared me when I was in college. I think that I was afraid at the time. So that had a big impact on my outlook on everything.
I think you saw, the president at the time, Barack Obama, talk about that too. Like, he said something like that. This. I looked at Trayvon Martin, and all I could think was, this could have been my son.
Right.
If I had a son, it probably would have looked like Trayvon Martin.
I think it happened to a lot of people. I mean, that Frank Ocean album that came out, he says the same thing. I think that for a lot of people, that was a big thing. Yeah. Because, I mean, I was going to college at the time, and I think that when you're doing that and in school and everything is going well and stuff, you kind of just feel like you're out of it. But I mean, you're not really safe. I don't know. No matter who you are, it's not safe.
So where did you land on this whole witness thing, on whether you could be a witness or not?
I decided to be active. I decided to start doing more stuff. You know, I think that I was getting overwhelmed a lot by the things that were going on and are going on now in the U.S. And I just started volunteering in town, started going to marches, started just reading more, and just participating. And I think that it's helped me to feel less overwhelmed, to just see people on the local level and in your town and community participating, other people who care about the same things that you care about. I think that helped me a lot.
That's where the beautiful stuff happens.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at the whole country, especially in the U.S., it's just so unfathomable. Like the idea that you could do anything, but you can see change in your community. You know.
I mean, you grew up in the church, right?
Yes, I did.
And I think that, but isn't that like, I mean, outside of the things that get in the way of the church, isn't that supposed to be what it's all about? The idea that we should just help one another at a very local level. We should all just try to help one another.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the civil rights movement, the church was a big part of getting people together and starting to do things. You know, even James Baldwin wasn't a religious person, but I think that he understood that he couldn't do things without the help of the church. You know,
there's a lot of gospel music there's like gospel undertones on this record.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think that I'll probably have more in the future.
Why?
I think that I just didn't realize. I don't know. I think that I've been able to break apart more recently. Just like I think part of coming to terms with the past and like the way that I've grown up and like religion and all those things, which is something that I turned away from a long time ago. I think that I realized that like the past and religion and those kinds of things are just part of me. I mean, it's things that I can't separate from myself, even if I tried to. So I think that I just realized that the palette that I have to work with is those things, you know, like talking about James Baldwin again. It's just like that's somebody who's not religious but can use things from the church to get their point across or put it in their work. You know what I mean? It's just like a piece of you that you can use. You know,
just like you can use music.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like you'll definitely hear some gospel melodies and things like that on this record, because it's just, I mean, that's what I know. I think it's just what I lean to.
It's a beautiful record.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I'm going to make you do it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about Believe?
Yeah. Believe is a song that I wrote in the in-between of the last record and this one in that year period. I think, I wrote it really quickly coming home from a night out, feeling pretty bummed out. I think I just got to a point where I didn't believe in anything, where I don't know. I was reading this sounds really. I was reading a bunch of like philosophy and stuff like that. I just got to a point where you look at the world and you just think, what is this? Like, what's going on here? I was reading that Don DeLillo book, which is like an absurdist book, and then I was reading some Sartre and like those kinds of things. And you just look at the world and you're just like, I guess I got to the point where you see everything more for what it is, and just that it's all man-made, and that. There's really, I didn't feel like there was anything I could get behind. And it left me in this really terrible place where I didn't know where to go from there. And so I think that song was just about wanting that thing that everybody wants. It's like the reason why people follow sports or join religions or do any of that kind of stuff is just to feel like you're a part of something, you know? And I knew I wasn't going to do any of those things, and I just felt on my own, you know? So that's where that song was coming from.
Do you feel like you believe in something now?
I believe in taking care of the people around you, because I mean that's it. That's about the only thing I believe in. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed talking to you.